Hey everyone, so here's the start of the DIY video. In the last video I posted, I showed you I'd gone to the thrift store and bought a bunch of like jeans and denim and crap to use to make a purse. Well, I cut up the jeans and laid them like flat and then realized that in order to create the panels I wanted that didn't have a bunch of seams already in them from the jeans, I would have to like... I wanted flat fabric. I didn't want anything that already had a bunch of seams like running through it. So I broke down and called up a friend of mine, and this person decided to give me some denim that she had laying around, and it turned out it was like a nice dark black color, which made me very happy because that's what I wanted. So anyway, I've gotten started with the production of this purse, and so I'm gonna just show you what I've done so far and what the planned next step is. So yes, I'm sipping a glass of wine. So here's what I want the purse to look like. The finished product, essentially. It's going to have a pocket on each side. It's going to have a big flap that comes to the front with a magnetic closure in the front. There might be a zipper running across the top of the flap so that I can use this as storage space, but if it's not, if I can't engineer it right, if I can't get it right, then I'll either try to put it on the back or just not use it at all. There's going to be hardware for the straps. So on the inside, there's going to be a special spot down at the bottom where I can Velcro in this little this little extra piece here, and this is supposed to be like to hide, well, to be honest, I guess to hide liquor bottles, little tiny airplane bottles into for when me and Brian go to like music festivals and stuff like that, because at music festivals such as like Rock in the Range or Louder Than Life or Warped Tour, the drinks are ungodly expensive, and so if I have this little thing that matches the same, if I use the same material to make this as I do to line the inside of the purse, which right now my plan is to either use this green stuff, which actually it came out of a prom dress, but it's slick, and you kind of want the inside of a purse, like a liner, to be slick. And I prefer to use a light color. That way, when you open up the purse, you can actually see what you're looking for. Purses that have a black interior, I have a very difficult time finding what I'm looking for. So, but if I can use the same material and make it so that the Velcro is relatively concealed, so that it fits all the way down the very bottom of the purse, it'll just look like the top of this thing will just look like the bottom of the purse liner. So when they check your purse when you go in, they hopefully won't detect it. So there's that. Or the other option to line the purse is this more of like a taupe, like this like silvery neutral sort of color. And so I'm gonna have to cut this out of this dress, and if it turns out that there's more of this than there is of that, then I will use this. So anyway, alright, so you've seen what the finished project is supposed to look like. Now, to kind of unroll, get this stuff out of the way, I'm going to partially, okay, I was using these to like weigh down the fabric, but now they're just in the way. To kind of unroll, here's the material, by the way. It's this charcoal denim, and it was exactly 1 yard, and I'm like, okay, I have got to squeeze all these patterns into 1 yard, or else I'm in trouble, because I don't want to have to go out and like actually buy more fabric that matches this, because it does not look cheap to me at all. So anyway, I just kind of sat and looked at my fabric and thought about, like, I want to make the purse a purse that has the best capacity, but I'm using the least amount of fabric on this 1 yard that I've got. So I decided to go with a 14 by 14 square. And so I started, and then I kind of toyed around with the idea of marking where I wanted to sew my first hem. So I kind of left room, but honestly, I think once I sew my first panel, it's not going to be difficult to attach them and keep the distance between the hem and the hem allowance the same. So anyway, so I started by drawing what I've decided to just go ahead and call the inside of the front flap. That's like this part here, except this is obviously the wrong side of the fabric, so I'm just going to say it's the inside. So then I went on to create inside the back panel, and they're going to be attached. So then I just went ahead and I basically drew out. It's basically one long piece measured in 14-inch increments. This turns into the back, then turns into the bottom, then to this front area here. Okay, so that's going to be all one piece, essentially. So there's no reason to like draw a bunch of lines to cut. I drew lines mainly just for my own comfort when it comes to like where to sew and where to fold. So anyway, so this is going to be strap connectors that are going to connect the hardware to the body of the purse. And these two big funny long things, that's going to be strap. The strap I want to be nice and heavy and durable, so what I'm going to do is when I cut it out, I'm going to fold the outside edges inward, iron it, and then sew it. Same thing with the other piece, and then close them together so that the ugly side is on the inside. So basically it's a double layer strap. So, and the side pockets, let me roll this up and get it out of the way. So, here's a side pocket. Now, the bottom of each side of the purse is going to be 7 inches. And since I want this purse to actually sit upright, I decided to make it tapered. I want the center of gravity to be low. So the top area is going to be narrower. That is reflected in the drawing. You can see where it's wider down at the bottom and narrower at the top. Kind of like a messenger bag. So, also since I want the sides to have pockets, what I want to do is create a gusseted pocket, which means the bottom of the pocket's going to be the width of the bottom of the purse, but it's not going to taper up. It's going to stay 7 inches all the way up. And then that way, when it's time to attach it, what I'm going to do is create the hem across the top and then pinch it in 2 places and create darts so that I've got a nice, like a flat closure, but it's wider down at the bottom so that I can actually put stuff in there and it stays mostly closed at the top. So yes, I'm sure this all looks very complicated and confusing right now if you've never made a purse before, if you've never done anything like this before. Basically, think of it as think of it kind of like building a cabinet. You're building a box, except you have to be able to open it from the top, and it needs to have straps on it. And you can put as many pockets on it as you want. So, if you've never made a purse before, I don't really recommend doing anything quite this extravagant. Maybe at some point I'll do a video for a simple purse, or, I mean, well, YouTube has lots of videos on how to make purses, so I'm sure you'll find one if this is not what you're looking for. So, and I really will not get offended if someone tells me that they don't like the way I did a video or showed how to do something, like, oh, this is too difficult, I don't understand this, you know, I wish you would have done something for novices. Like, okay, that's fine. There are plenty of videos like that out there. Go find them, please. So, but anyway, yeah, that's kind of the whole purpose of this, is to be able to, I wanted to engineer a purse that had a concealed compartment in the bottom so that I can sneak, so that means my boyfriend can sneak little bottles of liquor into music festivals. So, yeah, but we're not going to talk about that much more in this video. I'm just going to focus mainly on the engineering, the construction, and the outcome of this purse. So, what I plan to do next is, I'm kind of torn actually. What I want to do is I want to get started on cutting these pieces out and creating the pieces, the liner that's going to, and matching it to create the liner and then attaching them so that I can get started actually constructing the purse. But I'm also really kind of hung up on what to do on the front of the purse. Right now, so far, I've just got it plain, and that's just not my style. For those of you who know me, I'd like there to be something a little more interesting going on with everything I do. So I like to stick out and look interesting. So I haven't decided if I want to paint something on, which I don't have my acrylic paints with me. If they're in my storage shed, they've probably turned into something really disgusting and need to be thrown away. So I'm considering using like chain or hardware or something, or like cutting out shapes of a like lighter fabric and then sewing them on, or maybe even using the mesh. What happened to the mesh? Where'd you go? I lost the mesh. Anyway, yeah, I had this really nice like mesh fabric that I thought about using. But I'm not sure if I'm going to use it now because honestly it doesn't have, I want to apply it in a practical way and not so much an artistic way I think at this point because there's not enough of it to apply it in an artistic way. So I'm really torn as to what I'm going to do next. I guess what I do to make the front of the purse interesting, I guess that can always come later. Like I can get started on other things and to get that done. I'm thinking about getting the straps done next maybe, I'm not sure. So anyway, I'm going to put down the camera, and I've been talking for quite a while for the intro for this DIY video. So go get your fabric that you want to use and make sure it's something heavy, make sure it's something pre-shrunk, make sure it is something washable. If you don't plan on using any kind of backing to make your purse nice and stiff, then I recommend using just heavy fabric, and you're going to have to like double, quadruple hem in order to create that stiffness to set the purse hold its shape. Because I cannot stand a purse that flops over the second you sit it down. Like the purse I use now, okay, here it is. It's actually a nice purse, but it's just, it flops. See how like sometimes I'll sit it down and it'll just go, and I can't stand that. And it's got too many straps hanging off of it, and just got too much hardware on it. And these things twist around, and then I'll put it over my shoulder, it'll be twisted, it'll be really uncomfortable. This little snap is kind of a pain in the backside. So yeah, I mean, it's a very practical purse. I like it because it's black, obviously, and it's nice and big, it's very roomy. It's got that nice light colored interior, like I said. So anyway, I'm gonna get off here now. So ponder what I've told you thus far, and I'll get back with you soon. Oh yeah, one step I did forget to mention. When you're dealing with wrinkly, crinkly material, you don't want all those wrinkles in there because it will make life very difficult. That you'll have trouble with the fabric bubbling and not staying flat while you try to sew. It'll be a pain in the butt to cut it. It'll be a pain in the butt to mark it. And so, being that this is obviously a synthetic material, I've got the iron set. I don't know if you can see that or not really. Relatively low, you know, and it just takes like one little wave over the material. So, actually, I think what I'll do is I'll set the camera down, and I'm going to try to just show you guys what I'm talking about. It wants to tilt. That's not nice. Okay, I'll sit a book under it. Maybe 2 books. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. But, yeah, so iron cord out of the way. You want to be quick about it. You don't want to be... I mean, you don't want to linger in one spot too long because you will destroy your fabric. Just real quick sweeps, see? And let the iron do the work. Like if you're staying there tugging and pulling constantly, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. So watch how the iron just kind of pushes those wrinkles out. So yeah, you just kind of want to keep working at it until you've reached the end of your fabric and it's mostly wrinkle free. Obviously you're not going to get it perfect because if you spend too much time ironing, you're not going to get anything really all that productive done, and you're just going to be very frustrated with yourself and you might give up on your project. So that's all for now. Okay, encountered a problem while I was cutting. So anyway, I want to show you guys the problem, and I'm going to show you how I'm dealing with it and why. So see here, I've got these 2 panels. They're the side panels for the purse, and I compared them to each other and was like noticing that one's slightly larger than the other. Obviously you can't take the smaller piece and make it bigger, so what you have to do in order to make them conform so they're uniform with one another is to make this bigger one smaller. So I went ahead and just marked it with a marker and we're ready to cut that extra little bit off. So that is how you deal with that, unless it's some other tremendous catastrophe, then you're just going to have to do your best to think on your feet. Small problem. Don't let these little things like this discourage you. This is really, really minute, minuscule. I'm just glad it wasn't a whole lot worse, like an entire inch or some stupid shit like that. So, yeah. You can't make a small piece of fabric bigger, but you can make a big piece of fabric smaller. There you go, wisdom, for the moment. Okay, back again. So I went ahead and took the the green fabric I showed you guys, and I took my panels of denim that I cut out, and I laid them onto the green fabric and basically traced, and I actually put numbers on each panel. Where is it? Okay, top and bottom, but wait, oh, there's the number. So that I can remember without having to hold up and compare exactly which panel I'm dealing with when I go to stitch it and sew it, because actually that does play a role in what I'm going to do with it next. But anyway, traced it, cut it out, pinned it. So when pinning, you're probably going to, the fabric on top is going to shift slightly without you really noticing it. So, like, after you do, like, maybe 2 or 3 pins, you want to stop and you want to kind of stand above and reposition it. So, and then continue pinning. Oh, that was my phone. Probably a YouTube notification. So, yeah, there's other pinned pieces of fabric. So there's some more that still have yet to be pinned, and so I'm getting ready to work on that, but just wanted to show you guys the kind of more the process, I guess you could say, because I'm going to actually, since I want this purse to have a little more structural integrity, I'm going to hem it, you know, I'm going to hem it like so, and then when I go to actually sew the pieces apart, the pieces of the purse together, I'm going to be basically it's going to be a hem flipped inside of a hem, so that you've got this like nice like thick area that's going to be along the edges, like along like here and here and here and here. It's going to be rather thick and tough and straight, so that the purse is lightweight. I don't have to put any backing in it, but it'll have that nice heavy hem on it so that it stays put when I sit it down. So, although I did think about like sewing like some like corset bone or something into it, but I don't have any corset bone, so that's really out of the question, and I don't feel like spending the money on it. So either way, so that's where I am so far, pinning. So yes, and I think next I'm just going to continue pinning, and I'll get back with you guys when I'm ready to get into the next stage, such as maybe sewing or maybe talking about the straps. So, alright, that's enough for now, I guess. And there's, again, the other pieces and more pieces. So, I hope this is helpful. Let me know if it's not. Okay, so I've decided that my next step needs to be to prepare the side pockets that are going to go on the side panels of the purse. So, since denim frays very easily, I'm going to fold this hem over twice instead of once, because this is going to be like the top of the pocket, this is going to be the bottom. This is going to be hemmed when I attach it to the panel of the that panel on the purse. So, but to help it stay in place while I pin it and sew it and everything, I'm going to iron the folds as I make them, and I'm going to repeat the process over here. So, and I'll show you what it looks like once I've ironed it. Okay, so I folded it over once, ironed it, then folded over again and ironed it. Oh, come on, focus. There we go. So when you're done, you always want to make sure, like when you're folding and ironing, that you're consistent in like your you know, your depth and distance and whatnot. So these are pretty consistent. I think on one of them, this end is a tiny bit wider than that end, but that's not that big a deal. I mean, it's not going to show, and honestly, it's not going to affect, not really going to affect my ability to proceed on with what I want to do next. So, which is hem this, and then put the darts in to make the gusset, and then I'm going to attach it to that panel. So, alright, I'm going to go do that now. Okay, I just hemmed this, And this nice straight line is what you're going for, and you want it to be in the middle. That way all of your hem is like up underneath and stitched down. So you really can't see this thread very well because I'm using black thread on a charcoal denim. But you can see where it's a nice straight line, and I stopped, backed up, and went back again to kind of close off the ends really good. That will save you from having to tie knots, essentially. The thread holds itself in place because of the tension you create when you start here, go to there, put it in reverse, then go back, and then come all the way back again. So, just a little trick. I'm still new to sewing with a machine, really, so I'm kind of excited about little tricks. So if I sound silly talking about them because you're an experienced seamstress, then that's okay, I suppose. So next, I'm going to do this one. So, and then I'm going to do the darts, and I'll show you guys how to do darts. Okay, back at the ironing board again. I hemmed my other piece of pocket, and now I'm getting ready to create the darts. Well, first of all, what is a dart for those who really don't understand what a dart is? A dart is where you've taken a folded piece of fabric and you sew at an angle so that when you're making a pocket like the part in the bottom is bigger and bulkier so you can stick stuff down in there, but the part at the top is like a little more closed and closer to the surface fabric so that nothing falls out. What I've done is I removed the pins from the bottom so that I can, move it around and play with it and fold it like I want to. And I want my darts to be relatively close together towards the middle so that I've got plenty of allowance in the sides for when I go to incorporate this piece into that panel and I have to create hems and whatnot to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. And I got to making sure that the piece underneath isn't like wrinkled or bunched or anything. Okay, good. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold this over like so. And I'm just going to go by like, let's say I'm going to get it like an inch from that corner there. I'm going to iron it, then I'm going to flip it over. And in fact, I might even pin it too, if it doesn't want to hold. I'll pin it. And then, depending on whether or not I have success with this, I will either go and sew this dart, then come back and create the second one, or I'll just make both darts and then sew them both at the same time. So I'm going to continue on with this, and I'll show you guys what I've done in a few minutes. Okay, so I've ironed both and pinned both, and so I'm going to lay them next to each other and check for that consistency of positioning. Now, you'll notice I have pins on here even though I ironed it. The reason I pinned it is to mark where I want to start and stop my needle on the machine to create this dart. Now, I did say that I wanted to have plenty of allowance on the sides for when it's time to incorporate this panel onto the panel it's going to be attached to in the purse. The reason I put this needle this pin way over here is because obviously the head of this pin will damage my sewing needle or the pressure foot on my machine. So I'm going to rely on the lines on the underneath of the plate underneath the pressure foot on my machine as a guide so that I just for distance of measure when I start sewing. But I'm going to start about here, and I'm going to make a straight line all the way down to here where the tip of this pin is. Now the reason I put the head in here and the tip through here is because the machine can sew over top of straight pins, just not the head, obviously, because it's bulky. It'll just sew right over it, and then when you're done you can just pull the pin out. So I've got the consistency that I want, and I'm ready to go make those first dart in each of these pockets, and I'll get with you guys again. There, not bad at all. So as you can see, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to repeat the process to create the same thing, except it's going to be here, so that it's got two darts. And I'm going to do that. So now you guys already saw this process for this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the other one and then show you the outcome after I've ironed it and everything. So, see you in a few minutes. Okay, so I sewed the other pleat and took out the pins and everything and ironed it out nice and neatly. And so it's going to lay on this panel like this. It looks like I did give myself just enough room. So, just barely missed not having enough space to get that sewn on onto the sides. So, next, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and just pin it on to the bottom. And then I'm going to get the bottom panel of the bottom part of the purse sewn onto the sides. Is what I'm going to do next, I think. And get the pockets partially attached. So I'll see you again in a few minutes. Okay. Instead of getting these pinned on, it occurred to me that other steps would need to be taken. First of all, I would need to make sure they would actually fit properly. And I also noticed that there were some shape and size issues with these panels. So what I did was I got the pockets nice and flat, and I had to actually I ended up scooting them all up. I scooted them up much farther so that I have plenty of allowance on both sides, because I realized that before I really just didn't have enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have to create the bottom of this pocket here, and I'll just, there'll just have to be a little more space between the bottom of the purse and the bottom of the pocket. Which, that's okay. I mean, it's a handmade purse. No one's going to expect it to look like it came from Macy's or anything. So, either way, I mean, it'll look fine. So, what I really wanted was more space in the pocket, and I wanted it to come down a little farther, but, I guess I just really didn't plan very well for that. So I guess that's my mistake. Whatever. So, actually, my next step is going to be to actually attach, the hardware straps and even hardware onto this top panel. That's what I'm getting ready to do, because you have to do that before you do part of your hem work. So I'm going to have to hem this at the top, and then I'm going to attach the little strap, and the hardware at the top. And I'll get back with you guys once I've done that. But first, actually, what I'm going to do, I am going to show you how to do the little bitty strap and how to do the hem. So, but for the hem, what I guess I can go ahead and just show you. I've already sewn a little bit in the corners here to kind of hold it in place, so I'm not sticking myself with pins every time I touch a piece of material. So yes, this is dangerous. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use the twice rule and fold it over twice, so that I have plenty of coverage to make sure that the denim doesn't fray. So I'm going to do that, and actually I have a couple of small pieces of hardware here that I'm also going to attach to the inside of the purse, so that I can hook keys and other things to the inside of my purse. That way I won't have to keep digging for them every time I need them. So I'm going to do that too, and I'm going to show you guys that in just a few minutes. Okay, so I ironed the strap connectors, the folds here. Okay, you want the long ones to overlap the short end, because that will save you some sewing. And you have to be careful ironing, because you're going to have to iron a little bit, then move your fingers and iron a little bit more. This is how it is. And also ironed these little pieces to attach these little pieces of hardware on the inside of the purse. So next, I'm going to figure out exactly how I'm going to get this attached on here. I think what I'm going to have to do is actually attach these first. And so I'm going to do one, and then I'll show you guys how I do the second one. Okay, I've gotten these little pieces attached on the inside. So what I did is I folded over the little strap I made and just went back and forth across here to make sure this will stay in place. And then I centered the strap in the center of this panel and just sewed over top of where the strap is going to be attached. Next, what I'm getting ready to do actually is I'm going to go fold this over up top to create a hem. And I'm going to go iron it, and I'm going to sew it, and then I'll get back with you guys. Okay, so I folded, ironed, and sewed up this hem at the top, and I'm really happy with the way this turned out. So, next what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to attach these strap connectors. Now, what I'm wanting this to look like is it's going to go like that. Like this is going to be, hold on, this is kind of tough to do with just one hand, but I'm going to try to show you guys. This is going to be through here like this, and it's going to be attached with the hardware like just barely showing above the top. So, and now that I'm looking at this, what I'm realizing my first step needs to be really is to secure the hardware into the strap. So that's what I'm going to do next, and I might even go ahead and do like a little preliminary hemming on the strap itself, just so it doesn't, just so it's easier to sew once I get the whole entire panel up onto the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to show you guys and explain. Okay, got the big hardware sewed on. When you're sewing, if you're using a machine like I have here, you want to be careful, because what can happen is the pressure foot will get real close to your hardware, and it'll cause problems with the fabric being able to move like it's supposed to, the machine being able to push the needle down all the way. And actually, just a few minutes ago, did break a needle, and it was very frustrating. But it's not very hard to replace a needle. It only takes a couple seconds, really. And when you're sewing on a strap, especially if it's going to be like on a purse, because it's going to be carrying weight and whatnot, you want to go over it several times. See how I went back and forth and up and down a few times, and I made a crisscross. That's just to help to make sure that you're not going to lose what you've sewn on there. So you want to make sure it has lots of structural support. So I'm going to do the other one, and then I'm going to decide what I'm going to do next, and I'll talk to you guys some more. So, that's just the stitching is going to show on your lining. It's just, it is what it is. If you don't have like the kind of tools and materials to have like 3 linings in your purse so that, you know, all this stuff can look a certain way, then it is what it is. And I think, you know, it's on handmade purses especially. I mean, can't wait to show this to people so they can see that, you know, the craftsmanship and like the actual work that was involved to make the purse. When you can see the stitching like that, you see time spent, at least in my opinion. So, alright, I'm going to move on, and I'll be back soon. So, I ironed and hemmed the bottom piece of the purse, and I did decide to go ahead and use some purse backing just to give it a little more integrity. Later on, I'm going to, when I create the secret bottle compartment, I'm going to use, where'd it go? My green material, I'm not sure where it went. Oh, here it is, it's a scrap. I'm going to use this to create it, but what I'm thinking I have to do is actually use a different piece of fabric to make the compartment itself, but then cut a piece out of here to cover it up. To make the top part is what I'm going to have to do, because I just don't have enough here to create an entire little secret compartment baggie. So, anyway, put backing inside of here, folded, ironed, hemmed, and so now I'm getting ready to work on the front flap of the purse. And I'm getting ready to do the same thing. I'm getting ready to do, what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to cut a piece of purse backing to fit about halfway up through here. I don't want the whole thing to be full of backing, because I just can't stand a purse that's that stiff. I just like it to have enough structural integrity to stay upright when I sit it down on the table. So I'm getting ready to do that, and then once I hem the bottom and hem the sides and get it hemmed and everything, then I'm going to start actually attaching pieces of the purse together. So that includes the side panel so far, this front flap, this front panel, and then the bottom. So I'm going to proceed on with that and get back with you guys in a few minutes. I omitted a step. I forgot to tell you guys about the magnetic closure I'm going to use. Okay, I was going to use this snap thing here, but I'd have to like punch a bunch of holes in the fabric in order to close up the back and then sew it in. So what I'm going to do, as I went into the other side of the basement and got into the hardware stash, and I have here a nice large washer, and I have this I have a Disaronno magnet that I got for free when I was working at the liquor store a few years ago, and it's actually a pretty powerful little magnet. It's nice and flat, and it's all like one big piece, so this lends itself really well to what I want to do. And I want to create a closure that will close without you visibly seeing a buckle or a snap. Is kind of what I want, because I want a nice smooth surface. So what you do to achieve this, okay, obviously this is going to be sewn inside of the front flap, the closure flap, but we'll get to that later. So, but in order to attach this to the inside, well, how the heck do you do that? Well, obviously it has to be concealed on the inside of the flap. Now this piece of backing is going to go inside, up underneath of this green liner here. So this would have to be attached to basically the outward facing side of the purse backing. And so what I'm getting ready to do is I'm actually going to sew it on. I'm going to sew this onto here, right about in the middle, maybe. Right about in the middle. That way I'll have plenty of room to do all my hems and whatnot. And I'm going to sew it on and make a pocket. And then the idea is to insert this into the pocket and then sew the pocket shut. And then slip it in. So I'm going to get started on that, and once I've achieved the first few steps and ready to talk to you guys again, I will do that. So give me a few minutes. Alright, it's been stitched in. And you do want to roll the sides up and pin them so that they're not like getting like in the way, because they get in the way where you have to grab the string before you start push down the pedal and actually move the fabric through the foot. But anyway, I'll have to do a video like on how to actually use a sewing machine at some point. Just not today. So next, I'm basically just going to unfold this backing, and I might go iron it a little bit, and then I will get it positioned up inside of here. And then I'm going to follow through with doing the same thing to this piece as I did here, where I fold it over, iron it really good, and then hem it. So I'll be back with you guys shortly. So we have a little problem here. I haven't quite diagnosed the problem, like what's causing it. However, I can tell you that when I went to like stitch my thicker layers of fabric together, so see here, I got the side panels of the purse, the two sides and the bottom, all pinned together all nice and neat so that I can attach them together. However, the problem I was having was that I would pick up the material and put it in the machine and get it all set up and get ready to go and get started sewing, and I get maybe about an inch of sewing accomplished, and it would suddenly stop and get stuck. So as you can see, I got the bobbin casing and the housing and all that stuff dismantled and taken apart, and I had to clean out a bunch of like fucked up thread, and there was thread tangled around everything, and on the underside of the fabric I had these long loose loops of fabric hanging down. And I tried a few things, adjusting the upper tension and whatnot to fix it, and that didn't work. So I consulted a friend of mine who's a good sewer, my friend Carrie. You saw her in my video with the raccoons and the butterfly and out in the woods and stuff. Anyway, she's like a seamstress and she fucking kicks ass. And so I called her, and I was almost crying. I was like, I don't know what to do about this. This is really frustrating me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I really want to get this project done. And she's like, you know, just calm down. What did you try already? And she talked me, you know, she got me calmed down anyway. And she told me a few different things that might be the problem, and she wanted me to try those things, try some suggestions that she made, and then get back with her. And so I was feeling a little burnt out. So I decided at that point that the best thing to do would be to just kind of like get off of this task for a while and refresh my brain and take a few days to just focus on other things and get refreshed and recharge my batteries, because I have a tendency to like really hyper focus, especially on a project that where there's like engineering and thinking and problem solving involved. And when I encounter a problem, it's like being in a maze where like I can't get through. I'm at a dead end. And so I will literally, like, you know, figuratively, not literally, I'm sorry, be at that dead end, bashing my head against the wall, like, again and again, trying to get through. And I'll get so frustrated that it's all I can think about and focus on, and I'll obsess over it and get really frustrated and upset and give up. So if they're, okay, I need to just change tasks for a few days. I need to do something else and come back to this. And so then, of course, me being the ding-dong that I am, I finally was like, oh yeah, I can check YouTube for other people who are not novice seamstresses or sewers. I don't know what the proper word is, and they might be able to like they might have videos up explaining like how to fix this particular problem and what's causing it and what to do about it. So I consulted a few videos, and of course the people making these videos had really nice industrial sewing machines, and you could tell that the video was being made like in a shop where they were repairing shoes and luggage and purses and leather jackets and upholstery and things like that. And so, however, I mean, the same principle still applies. And so I think I know what I did wrong. So the top part, let me just, okay, the top part up here, okay, I had my tension up pretty, pretty good, 4 and 5 is about like where Singer suggests in their little booklet, where to have the upper tension. And so I adjusted the upper tension all the way up, like as far as it would go to 9. And I was still having this problem. And so, after consulting YouTube and talking to my friend Carrie, I think what my problem actually is down here. See, this bobbin casing, this little screw here, okay, come on, focus, please focus, okay, it's good enough. This little screw here, you can actually tighten it and loosen it, and it'll loosen this little folded over, this plate that's kind of hugging the outside of the bobbin casing, and you can make it looser so that the string flows more freely. And I think if I have this it's kind of tight. I haven't really touched it or adjusted it since I bought the machine. It's kind of tight maybe, and it might be too tight for what it is I'm trying to do. And so when I sew, when the needle goes down, and then it picks up this thread from down here, if this down here is tight and this up here is too loose, it's going to just pull the upper thread down, and it's going to make those big loops that I'm getting. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on fiddling around with the tension on the bobbin casing, and then I'm going to attempt to I'm going to do I have my test material here that I've been working on, and so I'm going to do a few test runs and see how it turns out. By now, at this point, I think this video is going to have to take place at least in 2 or 3 parts, just because it's, like I said, I'm a novice at sewing. I'm trying to take on this really massive undertaking of this purse, and I may have bitten off a little bit more than I can chew. I understand the concept of, I understand the concept of how to construct, like, a box. Making a purse is kind of like making a cabinet, except it opens the top and you put straps on it. It's building something. And the way my brain works is I'm really good at that kind of stuff. And, but except the only problem is most of my life I've just been hand sewing. So machine sewing is very new to me. And so, but I do have the background of, I have enough experience putting pieces together to create a whole, a structure. So, I have that understanding really, really mastered. I've got that. But using a sewing machine is not the same thing as hand sewing. There's mechanical stuff involved. Now that's the other problem. Small machines I'm slower at. Big machines, such as cars, my school bus, stuff like that, I understand. Small machines, I don't understand. So, yeah, at this point this video is definitely going to have to be in like 2 or 3 parts, because no one wants to sit and watch a tutorial that's like an hour and a half long. So yeah, I want to take some time to brainstorm and do some test runs and then get back on track, and hopefully my problem will be solved and life will go on, and I can get this purse finished hopefully before Louder Than Life, which is in 2 weeks from today. And because I want to have this purse finished so that we can sneak little airplane bottles of alcohol into the festival. I mean, maybe I explained that in my previous video, but like, yeah, I'm going to construct a little pouch that's going to go in the bottom of the purse, and the way it's going to be constructed is it's going to be velcroed in, and it's going to look like it's just the bottom of the purse. But it'll be a good little illusion to where I can fit like a few airplane bottles down in there, and whoever's checking my purse will be none the wiser, hopefully. So anyway, I want to get this purse done, also because I just want to get it done. I just want to get it done. I don't like projects taking forever. That's such a pain, and it's especially if people who watch my channel and are like waiting for the next cool DIY video. So yeah, gonna brainstorm, gonna work on it some more, and I'll be hopefully I'll be getting something posted here really soon. So yeah, in fact, let's just do this. Let's consider what I'm talking right now, the conclusion of the first tutorial, the first part one of the tutorial, and then what I do after this will be part 2. So yeah, okay. Once again, here's like the mess of stuff having to do with the machine and my machine, and I'm gonna use this little glasses repair kit to try and twist that little teeny tiny little itty bitty little screw right there. And oops, the bobbin fell out, but that's okay. I'm going to take it anyway to adjust that screw. So yeah, here's like the mess. There's the glass of wine I'm sipping, and here's the candy I've been eating because I'm a pig. Well, actually I'm not. I mean, I only ate some of the chocolate that was in these bags. And here's the empty cup that needs to be thrown away, and there's like other stuff here. So yeah. So I guess this concludes part 1 of the tutorial. So anyway, wish me luck, and keep your eyes peeled for part 2, and I'll see you guys later, I guess. So bye.